All right, we're joining you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, LinkedIn. Thank you for joining us on part 2 of Behind on AI. You can start here. We have Jeannette Grand with us today. I'm Casey, joined with Trisha. And it is, first and foremost, it is Jeanette's birthday. So if you're watching this live, if you're watching this recorded, just make sure you drop a comment and wish Jeannette happy birthday.
Send flowers, send balloons, send smileys.
Whatever.
Jeannette deserves them all.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, thank you. I don't know that I deserve them, but I'll take them.
So 2 weeks ago, we were here in this space, and we talked about some ways to start using AI. This all started, Jeannette, because you felt like you were not using AI as much as you should, or as much as your peers are, maybe is another way of framing it. I don't know.
Behind.
Behind. Yeah. In the past 2 weeks, has anything changed? Are you still feeling that way? Are you feel like you're taking any baby steps, anything like that?
Baby steps for sure. I would still say that I feel like I'm behind, but that's okay. I've signed up for the AI boot camp with HubSpot Academy. So,
of course.
So sorry, guys, if you haven't gotten in, but watch for it next time. Sign up for the wait list because
I did sign up for the wait list and I didn't get an alert that it was open again. I'm mad. I'm mad.
Oh.
But I'm very happy that you got in.
Yeah.
If you join the office hours, Value First office hours, Nico almost always joins, and he is one of the instructors, and he is every office hours talking about AI this or AI that.
Yeah, Nico is the man, the AI god.
Yes,
we call him the god of AI.
So what kinds of, like, can you share anything that you did in the last couple of weeks?
Absolutely.
How'd it go?
Yeah, so a few things. So I'm planning a Vegas trip. So I got in there and started looking at, places we could eat before the concert. So I did a little bit of that, which I'd used AI some for travel planning before. I did it last summer. I took my son to Universal, and so I did a lot of planning around, used AI a lot for that. But work-wise, I did some work around kind of setting up a template for discovery calls, because I've got like 3 discovery calls within the next couple of weeks. And so I started doing a little bit of work there. Where I really started getting deep was, so I was having this issue with my calendar in HubSpot. It just kept reverting to Google Meet, and I've got a Zoom account. So I was trying to set it up so that Zoom would automatically show up. But every time it would come back with Google Meet as the provider, but it would say Zoom in the location, but no link. And Google Meet was on there. So I was like, why is this doing this? And here I am, operations, I'm supposed to be an operator. And I'm like, okay, this should be really simple to figure out. It took me all day on Friday going back and forth. I finally went to, I went to Breeze. I went to ChatGPT. I finally went to HubSpot Harry, or Hub Helper Harry, and went back and forth and back and forth. And I kept trying things, and it kept telling me to do the same thing over and over and over again. And I kept on and kept on. Finally, after a couple of really frustrating hours of this, finally it said, well, what subscription are you on? And I said starter, and it said, oh, well, you can't have a dynamic Zoom link with starter. Nowhere in any documentation did I see that. nowhere in any connector or anything else. So,
Mhm.
so, it was one of those things that I finally just figured out. I finally got the prompts right and everything figured out. So
Yeah, you'd think that like Breeze would have called that out because they have your, they know your subscription. They know.
I've run into that issue before with Starter that it isn't clearly documented when Starter has limitations all the time.
Mhm.
Right. Right. Yeah. So anyway, so I decided, oh, this is a great use case for me to kind of dig in and try to figure something out. Now, one of the things I'm going to start playing around with is I've got a full audit spreadsheet that I usually go through with an audit, and I'm starting with a new client, and I'm gonna start kind of playing with what things can I get AI to do. I've tried that in the past and it didn't turn out very well,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna work through that this time and see, if I can make some progress there with trying to get AI kind of trained to come up with the outputs that I need without me having to go, field by field, property by property kind of thing.
Sometimes what I do, I just did an audit over the weekend actually. And I relied heavily on Claude and Breeze for this audit. It was of a starter account, so the scope was uh, fairly small. Just
Yep.
there's only so much you can do in a starter plan.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested because you already have a template that you like follow or a checklist that you follow, sending that to Claude, to ChatGPT, whatever. And then what I do is I ask Claude to tell me what prompts I should send to Breeze. And then I just start
Interesting. Yeah.
asking Breeze those questions. And for me, it didn't work 100%, but I will say I finished the whole audit as well as I made a 90-day plan based on the audit within 2 hours. And I got on the sales call and they were like, you did a really thorough job. Like, we don't really have that many questions. We just want to like get started. So, and I relied really heavily on the analysis and the prompting from Claude plus Breeze.
That's great. Yeah, because I know in the past, my audits have taken anywhere, and these are at least pro accounts, taken anywhere between 10 to 25 hours. So
Mhm.
And a couple months ago, I did another audit using Breeze, using Claude on either a pro or enterprise. I don't remember, but not a starter is all. And even with that, it still took a very long time. We actually drove to and from New York, and I worked on it the drive to and from. Like I was just in the car.
Oof.
So, however, I will say, like, I think this a lot. Like, is AI making me faster, or is the output better? And
Mhm.
for me, a lot of sometimes it's faster, like, especially now that I have the prompting. I do that. I do a blog with the updates every day that I can do pretty fast with AI now. It used to, I mean, it would take forever for me to, I don't think I would do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Actually, I just don't think I would do it. um, but a lot of the time, I think I'm taking just as long to do things, but I think the actual outcome
As
is
long as the outcome
superior.
is more valuable,
Yeah.
then yeah. I mean, I think I told you guys last time, I was trying to feed in my last job, I was trying to feed in the exhibitors, and it was a pretty small conference, exhibitors at a conference, so I could figure out and get a description, size of the company, headquarters location, and a description of the company, so we could figure out if they might make good partners or customers. And I worked on it for, I don't know. I know one weekend I sat and watched landman and just kept refreshing. And, it would come back and say, oh, I've delivered this to you. And I'm like, this is shit. This is the same stuff. I probably shouldn't have said that, but this is the same stuff that you delivered before. And it's not what I needed. And here's
I don't think we have a lot of kids watching the show. So you're probably.
Yeah, I know. I keep freezing up and flashing. Sorry about that.
It's
I mean, that is,
World
I love that we're sort of setting the expectations of how slow it can be to use AI. Like, it is not necessarily a slam dunk. I have all this free time in my day now because I have this thing that does everything for me. I don't have that many repetitive tasks that I do every day. Like, I'm doing a lot more implementation work now, and every situation is sort of new because it's a different type of business. They have a different sort of setup. And so I'm using it far more just to figure out unique approaches to whatever problem I'm trying to solve.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times for me, it's just information gathering and like double checking, like, I think this is the right way maybe to approach this. But I did do an audit within the last couple of weeks, and I created a GPT for the executive summary. And I gave it my audit spreadsheet, and I gave it all the transcripts of our discovery calls, and I gave it an example of previous executive summary and how I wanted it structured. And it did do an excellent job. I was like,
Wow.
okay, that worked really well.
Win for AI.
It doesn't always work that well.
Right.
Yeah.
I could probably come up with a half a dozen examples from yesterday in which it didn't work all that well.
Yeah. And the thing is, I mean, how much of what you're putting in there is training it for what the outcome is that you want to get later on.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's hard to measure. It's like, okay, well, if I keep getting crap out of it, am I going to continue to use it and continue to feed it? Or, and and now were you using like ChatGPT or Claude primarily for that? Well, it sounded like you were using ChatGPT for the executive summary, but
Yeah.
what about, for your audit stuff? Are you doing that in Breeze? Or are you doing that? Where are you doing that?
I'm using all the things. I use Breeze, and I use ChatGPT, and I also use Claude.
Tool agnostic, as Nico would say, I think.
Now, when do you use what? How do you determine when to use what?
Yeah, that's the thing. Isn't that the thing? And like Nico seems to have this innate sense for like, this tool is right for this thing. I just have, because I started with ChatGPT, I have a lot more history in there in terms of like, this is what I want from you. So when I'm generating Word documents, that's a lot more where I lean, because I've got my project folders and my, like, this is where I build my posts for LinkedIn and stuff. Like, it's all there. Claude tends to be more, I cleaned up an Excel file of contact data today, for example. And so I used Claude to clean up. I mean, it was 600,000 records. I wasn't going to do that by hand. And Claude,
isn't it crazy you would have?
What?
Not that long ago, you might have.
Right. Done it by hand.
Maybe you wouldn't have, but
I would have.
You would have sent it to me.
I would have sent it to you. Yeah, I did. So that was a fantastic outcome, because I probably spent in total an hour with Claude on it versus, 600,000 records. It was a monster file.
Wow. What were you trying to get it to do?
So it wasn't very much information, but like first name was a single field, and I needed it to be first name, last name.
Oh, okay.
And there was also one column of like, there was an email column, but also a unique identifier column. which in some cases was a mix of email and like some weird tokenized identifier. And so just to extract the emails from that mix of text,
Okay.
Claude did a fantastic job of recognizing emails in that system. So, and like I also cleaned up the name fields, like removing like a first name that was only numbers or had parentheses around the names, like just gave it some few things like that. And it did great. Now, the thing that I learned the hard way through using AI to clean up Excel files in the past is you have to be very specific about, like, you cannot transform any data, none of it, because it would take a name that like Siobhan and change it to Stephen, because like, I don't know why, but it would change names. So
because it finds it easier to say?
Because it looked better, was easier to read, like it normalized the text, but it did it in name fields.
Kind of biased.
So learned that one the hard way. And that was a project that took longer than it should have because I tried it with AI first. But having come out of that, I then was able to get really good results today by being really specific about my boundaries of what it could and couldn't do.
Right.
So that was a win.
And Trisha, do you pay for Claude and you pay for ChatGPT, right?
I do.
But what tiers are you on? Do you know, or like?
Oh, I'm on the most basic.
So you're on like the cheapest tier of both?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't pay for ChatGPT. I do pay for Claude. I almost always start with Claude unless I'm going to Hub Helper Harry. That's pretty much my caveat.
That's the other thing, is that makes me go to ChatGPT too.
Also, I'll do image if I know I'm doing image creation. I'll start with ChatGPT because, as Trisha has expressed, I created a horrifying image using Claude one time. Claude can't make images. Don't ask it to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then sometimes personal stuff, I'll start with ChatGPT. I don't even have a really great like rhyme or reason to that, other than I think I'm just like, I don't really think this is worth my like paid credits. So I'll just throw it in ChatGPT instead. But I did recently upgrade my ChatGPT. I'm now paying $100 a month for for Claude. I'm paying $100 a month for Claude, which is like gross. I mentioned it to my husband recently and he was like, what are you doing? We were on a walk with the dogs and my husband was like, how do AI tools even make money? And I was like, well, I'm paying $100 a month for Claude. And he was like, what?
He pulled back that dog so fast.
He was like, you're doing what?
Oh my God.
He was like, you who bums streaming from everyone they know, you know. It is sort of remarkable that you made that leap.
Yeah, I'm not.
But you did it because you kept on running up against bandwidth issues, right?
Credit limits. Yeah. And I actually haven't hit credit limits since now that I'm paying 100. And it really scaled once I started using Cursor and Claude Code, basically. Once I started doing Claude Code, there was just pretty much no way I could keep doing that without upping my subscription. Yeah. Which proof that a freemium model works, because I freemiumed for a long time.
Yeah, I know. I'm in the midst of that right now with some tools. I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's the difference between freemium and paid? And there are a lot of tools that don't really make it super clear. And when you're in there and you start building Slack, for instance, Slack channels and stuff, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna be paying for every user that I'm adding into this Slack channel for this customer? Probably will be. And so I'm like, do I really want to do that? How do I do that otherwise?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, Jeannette, have there been what do you feel like are the biggest barriers for you to getting started with or using AI more? Is it time, trust, not knowing where to start? What's
Yes. Yes. It's a little bit of it all. I mean, I think it's, because right now I'm in so many different tools. I'm trying to figure out, what tools do I trust? Which ones are going to make me more productive? Particularly as I start out my consultancy, I'm like, okay, what am I using to make me more productive, and what is going to set me up? It's kind of the go slow to go fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to figure out, what that baseline is. And so, I'm just keeping ChatGPT up in my browser window. Of course, if you looked at my browser windows, you'd probably be horrified, but
I would feel right at home.
Yeah. Oh, good. But I keep it up there, and it's a reminder to me of check with me, check with me about specific. And so it's going to take making it a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to trust it. So, when I've done a few things that like when I was trying to come up with the name for my consultancy, I put in, I actually came up with a name, and it's like, okay, well, what do I do with this, and how can I describe my business? And I just kind of put that in there. And I mean, it came up with all of this stuff. It was like, whoa, okay, that's cool. And so it's stuff that I'm going to put on my website when I eventually get that done, which I know I can use a lot of AI for.
I finally paid someone to do my website. I said I was going to make my own website for 2 years and never did it. So.
Okay. Well, I'm not alone. I was gonna have it up by February 28th. And
I was like, I'm going to do it. People would offer to do it, and I'd be like, no, I need to do this. This is important for me to do. And then at some point I was like, someone else do this. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. You don't build websites. It's fine. It's fine. What did you do with that information after you got it?
I put it in a document in a drive for me to be able to. So I've got descriptions of services, and I've got description of the business, like short descriptions. I always like to keep one document that I can refer to and just copy paste for whatever it may be, whether it is in a marketplace or whatever. So I've stuck that in a document that I'm just using as kind of my reference point for, here's a description of my business, here's a description of what I do, and then I'm using it for. I actually did use ChatGPT for proposal generation as well. So I put in, here are the parameters that I want. I need some legal verbiage. I don't know how legal it actually is, but I'm not an attorney. I'm like, okay, well, I need to get something up and out, and so I used it for my template, actually, for my proposals. So
I think building the habit is like such a big piece. Like I mentioned, Trisha, like that doc, you were like, I would never do that. And I was like, but you would have, like, and not even that long ago, because
no, I would have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now you're just like, no, I would never.
I don't want to do that. I want to give AI all the work I don't want to do.
What needs to happen, and what you can offload.
I had an epiphany.
Oh, good.
I think it was last week, as a matter of fact. It was last week. I had this epiphany, and Chris and I talk about AI data readiness a lot. And my epiphany was that a lot of times I think of it in terms of data hygiene, and do I have the data in my portal that I need to get something out of an AI agent, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started thinking about every time I see Chris's Claude instance and all of the documents that he has attached to a project before he queues it up with a prompt. And I was like, oh my God, that is data readiness. And that's why I asked, what did you do with that after you had that session with ChatGPT about your brand and your services? You put it on Google Drive.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I've been thinking about, because it's all about, I mean, AI is all about process and understanding your process and teaching it your process.
Right.
Every time, now I'm trying to train myself every time I get done with a thing, go write a process doc, like last instruction, go encapsulate this in a process that I can use again. And then save that as an artifact or a, you know, a whatever. That can be referenced later.
That's exactly what I do with the blog every day. And I've been refining it. Like basically every time it makes a mistake with the blog process that I do, I'm like, why did you make that mistake? Can you update your documentation so you never do that again? Like,
yeah, but don't you end up telling it the same thing over and over sometimes?
I do. And like, sometimes I am like, hey, didn't we literally we've
talked about this before.
We just talked about this. It does feel like that.
My ChatGPT is named Meeps. And I'm like, Meeps, we have talked about this before. You've told me that the way that you'll remember it is if I use the words lock this in to your permanent memory. And yet here we are again.
Yeah.
Here we are again.
It's all bulletproof.
And does it come back and say, I'm sorry you feel that way. Let's try this again.
No, it's always like, you are so right. And here's what went wrong. And like, save it. Say less. Say less.
Yeah.
It does. I always laugh when I'm like, why did you do that? Like, we literally talked about it. And it's like, you're right. And I'm like, I'm not supposed to be right here. You're a robot.
Exactly. It's like, okay, stop using emojis. Let's stop it. Or at least the rocket ship emoji for everything.
I know we're about at time, but one thing that I feel like we haven't touched enough on in either session, Jeannette, that you mentioned is that the previous organization you worked at, there was restraints on AI. Do you have any advice, things you wish you had done, things you were able to do for anyone in a similar situation?
Yeah, I tend to be ask forgiveness, not permission for a lot of things, which
that's me too.
I don't know that I'd it's necessarily the best thing, but
not your formal recommendation.
Not my formal recommendation. I think, I think it's trying things in bite-sized pieces and, knowing that there are going to be, if there are going to be trust issues, then, then kind of ease into it with little things that you don't connect specific data, or that, you do things in small little experiments where you can kind of prove that that there's value. And the problem is that it seems like a lot of the privacy issues are kind of under this is controlled by this one, and this is controlled by this one, and where is that firewall? And so that's what's kind of hard to get to at some point. So, I think go as far as you can within the bounds of what your organization has delineated, but then see if there are ways that you can experiment outside of those bounds while keeping things kind of contained.
I think at some point too, you just have to, if you are in an organization that's completely resistant to it, uh, just help lean into the idea that the longer they wait, the longer they're falling behind. And they certainly have a competitor who is not waiting and
Right.
who is now so far ahead of them.
Right.
I don't really like leading with fear, but I think this is one where it's deserved.
Okay. Lead with fear. Get that stick out, Trisha. Forget the carrot.
Well, any final thoughts, Trisha, Jeannette?
Just start.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, really, it's just like anything. Just start, play, experiment.
And those, if you're looking, if you're even scrambling to understand what sorts of documentation should it be building to give AI context, just go into HubSpot, into the AI agents section, and open a couple of those agents and look at the prompts of what information it's asking you for to help an agent run. Those are documents that you should be using AI to help you create, that you can then use to build your library of context for AI.
Smart.
Very smart. All right. Until next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jeannette.
It's always great to spend time with you ladies. I could just go on with you for hours.
Well, happy birthday. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It was great spending time with you.